Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jason here, representing the Beach Cities Health District, the Center for Health and Fitness. One common thing that gets plenty disregarded here at the gym because we're so fixated on specific exercises is what to do if you fall down. We focus here at the center a lot on fall prevention, but in the unfortunate event that you take a spill, wanted to provide you with a couple techniques that I think can help you get off the ground safely. So, if you find yourself on the floor, the first thing that's hopefully within range is something to grab onto. Okay? Alright, that's going to help provide that much more leverage for you to not utilize so much more energy. It's going to give you a better sense of balance and stability. So that's the first thing you should do while you're on the ground after you gather yourself, is to look to see if there's anything close for you to grab onto for leverage. But let's say you don't have that. So if you end up flat on your back, so after you take a couple seconds for yourself to just gather yourself with your breath, the first thing you should think of is to maneuver yourself to your side. So from here, if I can kind of maneuver myself from my back to my side, and I can even utilize my bottom arm here as a rest for my head. Okay. That transition alone, if you're still a little dazed from the spill, will give you an additional opportunity to catch your breath, to regather yourself for your next move. Now from here, I want to continue rolling until I can find myself maybe on all fours, okay? Gonna utilize a little bit more energy on this transition, but from here I would use my top hand as leverage to slide my other hand underneath to where hopefully my hands are directly underneath my shoulders. And from here I would slide that bottom leg underneath just as I slid my bottom arm underneath, hopefully where I could end up on all fours. That may take a little bit of time, but the last thing you want to do after a spill is rush into any position. You should really take your time, breathe, make sure you keep your composure throughout this process. Once I'm on all fours, the next step is a little difficult. What I want to do is I want to try to transition either of my legs to about 90 degrees. If I need to utilize a hand or two to help maneuver that leg up to that 90 degrees, and when I say 90 degrees, I'm looking at this angle in my hip. And in the perfect world, both hips at that point are at 90 degrees. So, if I can maneuver that leg to that 90 degrees, now I have a lot of leverage to really propel myself up. Okay? So, this is where, if you're close to something to grab onto, this is the time to look for that. So in this case, this chair is right in front of me. Okay, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna assume that this chair is maybe closer to me, so I can grab onto it to really help me drive this heel into the ground and propel myself up. I would use that chair as leverage so that there's not nearly as much weight on this leg to help prop myself up. But let's say the chair isn't there. Still at this 90 degrees. If that chair isn't there, at this point, I would want you to take both hands and put them on that top leg. And instead of leveraging from the chair, I'm going to utilize my leg as this leverage. So I would brace throughout my tummy and my shoulders to help push through that leg in hopes that I can then swing this bottom leg under, slowly, surely, until I find a good sense of stability to help prop myself to standing. The hardest part throughout this entire process is to make sure you're continuously breathing. When our body panics, the one thing we do is we hold our breath, and we want to make sure that we keep that mechanism that keeps the body cool and relaxed, which is our breath. Assuming that there's nothing to grab onto, okay? I'm on the floor, I've taken my spill, and I'm on my back. The first thing I should think about is to maneuver myself to my side. So I would find myself rolling, throwing that top leg over and this bottom arm underneath to help better support my neck. I would take a second or two to just gather myself from that transition, get a couple breaths in, and then from here, when I'm comfortable, I would take this top hand as leverage to help slide this bottom hand underneath to help us get onto all fours, which is the next step. So then brace throughout my shoulders to help slide that bottom leg underneath to where both knees are now under my hips. Again, to not be in any rush, I want to make sure I stay here for a bit and take a couple breaths. Now, if I have that range of motion, I can maneuver either of my legs to 90 degrees. If I find myself stuck here because I can't get it all the way up, I can use this hand to help maneuver it as it needs. Now, I have this 90 degree in my hip, both hips hopefully, to where I can really feel that contact of my heel. Now from here, I'm going to take one hand and the other hand onto the leg. I'm going to brace throughout my midsection. I'm going to leverage both hands on this leg to help draw myself through my heel, pressing that heel into the earth and working my balance to hopefully get this opposite leg to where I feel like I'm standing and then fully erect. We're hoping here at the center that you never come to that point where you take a spill. That's why a lot of our members here work their strength training, work their balance, but hopefully in the unfortunate event that you find yourself on the ground, hopefully these techniques come to mind. Hopefully you find yourself breathing, staying composed, and thanks for tuning in.